My dear friends, today I want to talk about something we see every day but rarely pause to understand: the silent pain hidden behind the strength of an independent woman. We look at her confidence, we admire her courage, we praise her achievements, but we forget strength is never born in comfort. It is forged in silence, struggle, and solitude. Every independent woman you see, your mother, your sister, your wife, your colleague, is not strong because life was easy. She is strong because life gave her no other choice. She wakes up each morning carrying battles she doesn't talk about. She fixes her crown even when her hands are shaking, and she walks into the world confidently, not because she is fearless, but because she refuses to surrender. Her independence is not an attitude, it is armor she had to build. Some women learned independence because people disappointed them. Some learned because circumstances demanded it. And some learned because they wanted to create a life where they never have to beg for love, respect, or peace again. But let me tell you the truth. Independence does not mean she is not tired. It means she keeps moving despite the tiredness. She fights her battles quietly, she cries silently, and she loves deeply. Even when she is the one holding her world together, people say she is strong, she doesn't need anything. But the truth is, the strongest hearts are the ones longing for the simplest things: a little understanding, a little appreciation, a little kindness. Sometimes she doesn't want the world on her shoulders. She just wants someone to say, "You're doing well, I'm proud of you." We often celebrate her independence, but we forget to comfort her loneliness. We admire her discipline, but ignore her exhaustion. We praise her success, but overlook the sacrifices she had to make to reach there. My friends, when you meet an independent woman, don't always say, "You are strong." Sometimes say, "You can lean on me if you ever get tired." Even the strongest tree bends during storms. Even the brightest stars burn silently. Remember, if you observe life carefully, you will realize that the strongest people are not the loudest ones. The strongest people are the ones who fight their battles quietly without disturbing anyone around them. And among them, independent women stand at the front row. They don't announce their struggles. They don't post their pain. They don't broadcast their disappointments. They simply hold everything together with a grace that fools the world into thinking life is effortless for them. Think of a woman you know, maybe your mother. You might have seen her waking up before everyone else and sleeping after everyone else. Yet you have rarely seen her talk about how tired she is. You see her smile when she serves food, but you never see the moments when she wipes her tears alone in the kitchen, thinking whether she is enough, whether she is appreciated, whether she is valued. That is the silent battle she carries. She doesn't want anyone to worry. She doesn't want anyone to feel burdened. She quietly becomes the strength of the home, even when nobody notices her. Or think of your sister who works hard, studies late into the night, tries to make her dreams real while balancing responsibilities she never asked for. You see her confidence when she steps out for college or work. But you don't see the nights when she sits alone wondering if she is doing the right thing, wondering if she is strong enough to keep going, wondering if she will ever get the support she silently hopes for. She looks independent from the outside, But deep within, her heart is fighting battles of insecurity, pressure, comparison, and fear. An independent woman doesn't become independent automatically. It is never accidental. Somewhere in her past, something forced her to rise. Maybe she was left alone. Maybe she was disappointed. Maybe her trust was broken. Maybe she had no one to rely on. Or maybe she simply promised herself that she would build a life where she never needs to beg for respect or love. This decision, this transformation never happens without a cost. She paid for her strength with pain. She paid for her independence with sleepless nights. She paid for her confidence with moments where she had to push herself beyond her limits. People look at an independent woman and admire her courage, but they forget that courage is often born from the absence of choice. When life puts you in a situation where no one shows up for you, you learn to show up for yourself. When life teaches you that depending on the wrong people can break you, you learn to depend on yourself. And when life forces you to carry your world on your shoulders, you eventually develop the muscles of emotional strength. This strength looks beautiful from the outside, but it often comes from the most painful chapters of her life. Many independent women carry scars that nobody knows about. Scars from words that hurt her, scars from people who underestimated her, scars from relationships that drained her, scars from responsibilities she had to handle far before her age. Yet she walks with a smile because she has learned that not every pain deserves to be shared. She has learned that sometimes sharing your struggles only brings unnecessary sympathy or judgment. So she keeps her pain folded deep within her heart and only shows the world the layers of confidence she has carefully built. And in this quiet strength lies something truly powerful: discipline. When she wakes up early to work, nobody sees the effort. When she studies for her dreams while others sleep, nobody sees the dedication. When she pays her bills, solves her problems, supports her family, and still tries to maintain her peace, nobody sees the pressure. People only see the results and say, "She's strong." But they don't realize that every strong woman is carrying the weight of 10 invisible responsibilities that she never complains about. Sometimes life tests an independent woman more than others, because life knows she can handle it. But even then, she is human. She feels, she hurts, she breaks, she cries, but she also stands up again every time. That is her silent battle, the battle of falling apart when no one is watching and rebuilding herself before anyone notices. And it's important to understand that these silent battles don't make her weak. They make her extraordinary. Because choosing to fight alone when you could have given up is a victory in itself. Choosing to carry yourself with dignity when life tries to crush you is strength in its purest form. And choosing to walk confidently while your heart holds wounds is a courage not everyone possesses. Look around your life. There is at least one independent woman who inspires you without even trying. Maybe a teacher, a colleague, a friend, your wife, your daughter. She may not say it, but she fights daily battles balancing emotions, expectations, dreams, responsibilities, pressures, and fears. She carries all of it quietly because she has trained herself not to depend on applause, validation, or recognition. When you see an independent woman, don't assume her life is easy. Don't assume she is unbreakable. Don't assume she needs nothing. Because behind her silence, there is a story. Behind her smile, there is strength. And behind her strength, there are silent battles that would break many others. If you truly want to appreciate an independent woman, don't just admire her success, acknowledge her struggle. Don't just celebrate her courage, understand her journey. Don't just watch her shine, recognize the darkness she had to walk through to get there. That silent pain she carries is not a weakness. It is the reason she stands so tall today. If you sit down with any independent woman and gently ask her, "Where did your strength come from?" she will rarely say, "I was born strong." Most of the time, she will smile softly, look away for a moment, and say, "Life taught me." Because her independence is not a gift she received, it is a skill she was forced to learn. Many people look at her and think she chose this fierce independence out of preference. But the truth is, very often, it comes from a place she rarely speaks about. Somewhere in her journey, she was hurt. Someone she trusted let her down. Something she believed in fell apart. Or someone she depended on just wasn't there when she needed them the most. And in those moments, she discovered a truth that stayed with her forever. Sometimes you have only yourself to rely on. Imagine a young girl growing up in a household where she watched her mother handle everything alone. She saw her mother wiping her tears quickly before anyone noticed. She watched her cook, work, sacrifice, and still smile so her children wouldn't feel the heaviness she carried. That little girl learned that strength is not loud, it is silent. She absorbed the pain her mother never spoke about, and that pain shaped her. It whispered to her, "Don't depend on anyone. Build yourself so strong that you never have to suffer in silence like this." And so she learned to stand on her own feet, not because she wanted to be distant, but because she wanted to break the cycle. Think of a woman who gave her heart to someone who didn't value it. She poured her love, her time, her loyalty into a relationship where she was taken for granted. She kept trying, kept forgiving, kept holding on until she realized she was holding on to something that was breaking her. The day she walked away wasn't the day she became cold, it was the day she awakened. The heartbreak taught her that love should not make you lose yourself. The disappointment taught her to never again put her worth in someone else's hands. And from that pain, she rebuilt herself with a strength she never knew she had. Or picture a woman who trusted people in her family or workplace, believing they would support her, uplift her, guide her. Instead, she faced criticism, jealousy, or unfair treatment. She learned that not everyone celebrates your growth. Some people fear it. Some people resist it. Some people try to stop it. And instead of breaking her, those experiences pushed her further. Every hurtful word became fuel. Every setback became motivation. Every disappointment became a lesson. She realized she must depend on her own capabilities, discipline, and courage to move forward. Independence is rarely born in comfort. Comfort makes you soft. Comfort makes you rely on others. Comfort keeps you in familiar places, even when they aren't helping you grow. But pain pushes you. Pain wakes you up. Pain breaks you in all the right places so you can rebuild yourself stronger. And for women, this transformation often happens quietly, internally, in moments the world does not see. Imagine a woman trying to build a career while managing family responsibilities. She hears comments like, "Why are you trying so hard?" or "A woman's job is not outside the home." These comments hurt her, but they also shape her ambition. Instead of giving up, she pushes harder. Instead of stopping, she works twice as much. Instead of feeling defeated, she uses the dismissive voices as motivation. She becomes independent not to prove anyone wrong, but to prove to herself that she can do everything she dreams of. Sometimes her independence comes from financial struggles. Maybe she grew up watching her family worry about money. Maybe she saw the stress on her father's face, or the tears in her mother's eyes, or the arguments that came from not having enough. Those memories stay with her. They make her determined to create a life where she never has to live in fear of helplessness. So she studies, she works, she grows, she keeps pushing. She becomes financially independent because she knows what it feels like to not have choices. And then there are women who choose independence because they want freedom, not just the freedom to earn or decide, but emotional freedom, the freedom to think without judgment, the freedom to act without restrictions, the freedom to choose friends, dreams, ideas, destinations. Sometimes her independence is an escape from suffocating expectations. Sometimes it's a rebellion against traditions that try to cage her. And sometimes it's simply her soul's desire to be unapologetically herself. But whether her independence comes from heartbreak, loneliness, pressure, betrayal, or ambition, there is always a story behind it. A story that shaped her, a story that strengthened her, a story that nobody knows unless she chooses to reveal it. So when you see an independent woman laughing, working, achieving, or standing tall, remember this: her independence is not arrogance. It is not ego. It is not a rejection of others. It is a shield she crafted from moments that almost broke her. It is the result of nights she cried alone. It is the outcome of battles she fought silently. It is the strength she built from every disappointment that tried to dim her light. Her independence is not a wall, it is a promise to herself that she will never again allow pain to define her future. A promise that she will rise above her past, no matter how heavy it was. A promise that she will walk forward boldly, even if she walks alone. That is the beauty of her independence. That is the truth behind her strength. And that is why her silence, her struggle, and her journey deserve respect, not assumptions. When people look at an independent woman, they often assume she is fearless. They assume she is emotionally unbreakable. They assume she has everything figured out. But the truth is, strength has nothing to do with the absence of fear or loneliness. In fact, the strongest women are often the ones who feel fear deeply and experience loneliness intensely, yet still choose to show up for life every single day. Imagine a woman who walks into a meeting room with confidence. She presents her ideas with clarity, she speaks boldly, she seems unshakable. But what people don't see is that before walking into that room, she stood in front of a mirror giving herself courage, because a part of her wondered if she would be judged, ignored, or underestimated. She felt fear, but she still walked in. That is strength, not the elimination of fear, but the decision to move despite it. Fear visits her in many forms: fear of failing, fear of disappointing those she loves, fear of not being enough, fear of losing herself while trying to be strong for everyone else. But she refuses to let that fear paralyze her. She acknowledges it, breathes through it, and keeps going. Life may shake her, but she does not allow it to stop her. This is the strength that makes her truly powerful, the strength of continuing even when her heart trembles. Loneliness, too, is a silent companion she knows well. Many independent women walk a path that few understand. While others have people to lean on, she often becomes the one everyone leans on. She listens to others' problems, offers solutions, supports their dreams, and stands by them in tough times. But when she feels overwhelmed, she doesn't know whom to call, not because no one cares, but because she has trained herself to carry her burdens quietly. Think of a woman sitting in her room late at night, after a long, exhausting day. She scrolls through her phone not because she has something to check, but because she is trying to distract herself from the heaviness she feels inside. She wants to talk to someone, but she doesn't want to burden anyone. She wants to cry, but she doesn't want anyone to worry. She wants support, but she doesn't want to seem weak. So she simply takes a deep breath, wipes her silent tears, and prepares herself for another day. This loneliness is not a sign of weakness. It is the price she pays for being strong for too long. We often admire the end result, her resilience, her confidence, her independence, but we forget the emotional effort behind it. Strength is not built in the absence of fear. Strength is built while walking through fear. Strength is not created in the absence of loneliness. Strength is shaped by learning how to stand tall, even when no one stands beside you. Every independent woman has moments where she feels small, vulnerable, unsure. She questions her choices. She wonders if she is on the right path. She thinks about giving up. But then she reminds herself of all the battles she has already survived, of the storms she has already crossed, of the times she fell but still rose. And that reminder fuels her. She gathers every broken piece of herself and uses them to build a stronger version of who she was yesterday. She may look calm, but her mind often carries storms. She may look fearless, but she has learned to hide her trembling. She may look self-sufficient, but she sometimes wishes someone would simply understand her without her having to explain. Yet she continues because she knows that strength is not about being unbreakable. It is about being able to rebuild after every break. Consider a woman who moves to a new city for her career. She leaves behind her comfort zone, her friends, her familiar surroundings. Every night she might feel a hollow silence in her room. Every morning she might fight the fear of the unknown. Yet she keeps going because she knows her dreams require sacrifice. The loneliness becomes her teacher, the fear becomes her fuel, and slowly she builds a life that starts to feel like her own. Or a single mother who works tirelessly to provide for her children. She fears illness, she fears failure, she fears not being able to give enough. But her love pushes her forward through every sleepless night, every stressful day, every difficult decision. She feels lonely when the world sleeps, but she keeps moving for the little hearts that depend on her. Or a woman healing from heartbreak, she feels fear when trusting again. She feels loneliness when the memories return, but she chooses to grow through the pain. She chooses to become better, not bitter. She chooses to love herself first. And in that journey, she finds a strength she never knew existed. The world must understand this simple truth. A woman's strength is not measured by how untouched she is by fear or loneliness. Her strength is measured by how beautifully she navigates both. She is strong not because she doesn't feel. She is strong because she feels deeply and continues anyway. She is strong not because she has no fear. She is strong because she faces every fear with courage. She is strong not because she is never lonely. She is strong because she has learned to find peace within herself, even in loneliness. Strength is not the absence of emotions. Strength is the mastery of emotions. And an independent woman has mastered the art of walking through fear and loneliness with grace, patience, and an unshakable belief that she will rise again every single time. The world sees her walking with elegance, grace, and confidence. People admire her poise, her strength, her ability to remain composed even when life throws unexpected storms at her. But what they don't realize is that beneath that calm surface lies a heart that has learned to hide its emotions, not because she feels less, but because she feels too much. Her silence is not emptiness, it is protection. Her smile is not always joy, it is resilience. Think of a woman who goes through her entire day with unmatched discipline. She manages her work with responsibility, she manages her home with care, and she manages relationships with patience. She listens to others, supports them, encourages them, and comforts them. But when it comes to her own emotions, she places them behind an invisible curtain. She has mastered the art of swallowing her pain and showing up with strength. Even when her heart feels heavy, there are moments when she is misunderstood because of this habit. People think she is unaffected. They think she is unbothered. They assume she is emotionally distant or indifferent. But the truth is that she feels everything deeply. She simply doesn't show it openly. When she is hurt, she remains silent. When she is tired, she keeps going. When she is disappointed, she smiles politely. When she is anxious, she breathes through it quietly. She expresses her struggles in the privacy of her own heart, away from the eyes of the world. Imagine her having a long day where nothing goes right. She handles work challenges, criticisms, responsibilities, maybe even the emotional weight of relationships. Her mind feels scattered, her heart feels exhausted. But when someone asks, "Are you okay?" she instinctively replies, "I'm fine," not because she is fine, but because she has learned to manage her emotions without placing them on others. She doesn't want to be a burden. She doesn't want sympathy. She doesn't want to appear weak after building such a strong image. So she hides her pain behind a smile that fools everyone except those who truly know her. Think of a time when she is deeply hurt by someone she trusted. Instead of reacting loudly or demanding explanations, she withdraws quietly. She processes her hurt silently. She forgives internally. She adapts gracefully. Not because she is unaffected, but because she believes reacting emotionally will only drain her further. She chooses peace over proving a point. She chooses silence over unnecessary arguments. She chooses inner stability over external drama. But inside, she feels every fragment of heartbreak intensely. Sometimes she sits in her room at night, finally letting her guard down. She takes a deep breath, allowing the emotions she pushed away throughout the day to rise gently within her. She may cry softly, not out of weakness, but out of release. These hidden tears are the ones that make her strong the next morning. They are the tears she doesn't show anyone. They are the tears that cleanse her wounds and give her the strength to smile again when the sun rises. Even in those quiet moments of vulnerability, she holds herself with grace. Many independent women become this way because life trained them to be emotionally self-reliant. Perhaps she grew up in an environment where she was expected to be mature too soon. Perhaps she had to handle responsibilities before she was ready. Perhaps she experienced betrayal that taught her not to show her vulnerability easily. Or perhaps she simply learned that people don't always know how to hold someone else's emotions gently. So she learned to carry her own. People admire her calmness. They admire her composed reactions. They admire her ability to stay balanced even during chaos. But very few understand that her calmness was shaped by storms. Her strength was shaped by pain. Her composure was shaped by moments when she had no choice but to hold herself together. Imagine her walking through a difficult phase, financial pressure, emotional heartbreak, career uncertainty, family responsibilities. Yet she still shows up fully for life. She still performs her duties. She still supports others. She still keeps her promises. She still holds her head high. Not because everything is fine, but because she believes breaking down will not solve anything. She has trained herself to be the safe place for others, even when she herself needs a safe place. She doesn't want to be dramatic. She doesn't want unnecessary attention. She doesn't want to depend on others emotionally. What she truly wants is someone who understands her without her having to explain everything. Someone who can read the emotions behind her quietness. Someone who can sense her sadness behind her smile. Someone who can look at her and know when she's struggling, even if she says she's okay. She doesn't need someone to fix her problems. She just needs someone who won't walk away when her emotions become too heavy. So, when you see an independent woman smiling quietly, understand that her smile may carry stories you'll never hear. When you see her calm, remember it may have taken years of emotional training to achieve that composure. When you see her stable, know she may have walked through chaos before finding this balance. And when you see her hiding her emotions, don't mistake it for emptiness. It is depth. It is wisdom. It is the strength of someone who has learned to carry her heart with grace, even when it feels heavy. Behind her calm face is a storm she navigates silently. Behind her gentle smile is a strength few can comprehend. Behind her independence is a heart that feels deeply, even if it rarely shows. When you look closely at the life of an independent woman, you begin to realize that her strength is never built from comfort, but from the countless moments life tried to break her. Point 6 reminds us of something deeply human. She has silently forgiven people who never apologized. She has healed from wounds no one even acknowledged, and she has moved forward when no one came to hold her hand. This inner healing is not loud, dramatic, or filled with announcements. It is slow, quiet, personal. And yet, it is the very reason she stands so confidently today. Think of the daily life examples we often miss. A woman wakes up early, prepares for her day, handles her responsibilities, and carries an invisible backpack filled with past disappointments, broken trust, and memories she never talks about. She goes through her morning routine, and no one sees the moments when she pauses in the mirror, trying to convince herself, I'm okay, I can do this. But the truth is, she learned long ago that she cannot depend on anyone else to fix what is hurting inside her. She had to stitch her own heart back together, thread by thread. Many people admire an independent woman because she looks fearless, but they don't realize that her courage was built from moments of deep fear. She has walked through nights when her pillow carried the weight of tears she couldn't express to anyone. She has listened to her own thoughts echo in the silence, telling her to keep going even when her strength felt thin. And every time she rose again the next morning, she wasn't rising because everything was fine. She was rising because she refused to let brokenness define her. Imagine her at work. She walks in with confidence. She takes decisions. She solves problems. She leads with calmness. But what people don't know is that she once questioned every step she took. They don't know how she stayed awake till late at night doubting herself, worrying about failure, replaying hurtful words someone once told her, you can't do it, you're too emotional, you won't make it alone. She heard them, she felt them, but instead of letting those words bury her, she allowed them to become the fuel that shaped her growth. Without showing the world, she turned pain into clarity, wounds into wisdom, and loneliness into strength. Sometimes in relationships, she is quiet. Not because she doesn't feel, but because she has felt too deeply before. She learned to protect her heart, to measure her trust, to observe before she opens up. And if someone asks her why she is guarded, she smiles gently, not realizing that this smile is another form of silent healing. She is not protecting herself because she is afraid of love. She is protecting herself because she has learned from love that was given lightly, broken carelessly, and forgotten quickly. Her healing taught her to value herself enough not to allow anyone to take her heart for granted anymore. Think about all the times she forgave people who never understood the damage they caused. She forgave not because they asked, but because holding on to bitterness would poison her own spirit. She healed not because healing was easy, but because remaining wounded would limit her growth. She moved on not because she didn't care, but because she realized that life would not slow down for anyone to catch up. She learned to protect her peace even when doing so meant walking alone. And yet, in this process, something beautiful happened. Her healing made her softer, not harder. It made her wiser, not colder. She learned compassion for others because she knew how heavy quiet pain feels. She learned patience because she understood that everyone is fighting invisible battles. She learned balance because she realized that strength without gentleness becomes pride, and gentleness without strength becomes weakness. Her silent healing shows up in small moments too, when she chooses to stay calm instead of reacting, when she takes a deep breath instead of arguing, when she walks away from drama instead of proving herself, when she smiles at a stranger because she knows how a simple smile can lighten a day. These little moments are not accidental. They are the result of inner work she has done for years. The world claps when she achieves big things, but the real applause should be for the battles she fought quietly inside, the nights she didn't give up, the mornings she tried again, the pain she turned into purpose. Very few people see that. Very few even ask. But she doesn't need applause. Her strength is not borrowed from anyone else. Her healing is her own achievement. So whenever you see an independent woman who stands strong, remember this truth: she is not strong because life was kind to her. She is strong because she learned to rise even when kindness was nowhere to be found. She learned to wipe her own tears, calm her own storms, and rebuild her own spirit. Her silent healing is not just a phase she went through. It is the foundation of the woman she has become. And the most inspiring part is this: despite everything she has endured, she still chooses love over bitterness, hope over fear, kindness over anger, and growth over resentment. Because her healing taught her that strength is not about never breaking. It is about learning how to grow beautifully from every crack life creates.